Muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí. Volvemos a agradecer el acompañamiento de Lab Society por estar el día de hoy con nosotros. Vamos entonces a presentar a continuación al CEO de Lab Society, Michael. Michael empezó su carrera desde hace varias décadas en el cannabis. Michael ha sido uno de los pioneros en la industria canábica. Michael ha estado con sus equipos enfrente de las industrias, de las compañías más grandes en extracción en Estados Unidos. También Michael pues, ha desarrollado varias propiedad intelectual y varias tecnología con respecto a la extracción, es el experto en extracción. Nosotros sabemos que en Latinoamérica pues nuestras industrias están comenzando, entonces hoy esperamos escuchar algunos fundamentos con respecto a la extracción del material vegetal del cannabis. Michael se ha convertido pues en uno de los empresarios más sobresalientes en la industria y bueno, esperamos que hoy nos cuente más acerca de los servicios y los productos de extracción que su compañía el día de hoy ofrece. Bienvenido, Michael. Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for being here.
Excellent. So thank you for the warm introduction, Carol. We really appreciate it. And thank you for having us on the Ciencia 2020. Joy, that was a great presentation. Thank you for enlightening all of us. It was very informative. Appreciate you. And thank you to all the other people who are involved in this. This is great. So basically what we're going to go over today is the importance of selecting the right products and partner for your lab build. Because when it comes to building a laboratory, there's a lot of things you got to think about. And not only that, but really being with someone that you can trust through that process is extremely important in the outcome in terms of your success as a business. So at Lab Society, we're a pretty broad team. This is a picture of us at last year's MJ BizCon, at least majority of our sales team. We're the source for chemistry equipment and laboratory supply products. We basically go from benchtop scale, analytical scale, all the way up to industrial processing, using our various partnerships and technologies that we've developed over the years. Our team is fantastic. We are based in Boulder, Colorado, and we're here to meet your needs. We've done work all around the world at this point. So in Europe, South America, Central America, and even a little bit, we're starting to work in Asia and Africa a little bit as well. So the biggest thing that we offer is we offer the entire solution. So we don't just offer one piece of equipment. Our focus as a business is on distillation equipment, but we sell everything from initial extraction all the way through analytical testing. We also do education, and we do on-site consultations, virtual consultations with the nature of the pandemic in the world. And then our courses, we actually are in the process of re-releasing all of our courses, and we have 3 new courses to offer the public. Those courses go extremely in depth from everything from initial processing all the way through analytics as well. So we try to really offer the full rounded solution so that everyone can get what they need and get all the information they need from us. Big thing that we've done over the past 5 years in business is we've partnered with industry leaders, not only from the cannabis space, but also from various processing spaces to provide everything that you could need, as well as proper equipment that's been vetted by our team. So we have an in-house product development team that's comprised of chemical and process engineers that have a lot of experience with all this different equipment. We work with pretty much, not only the companies listed here, but dozens of other companies. These are some of our more highlighted vendors that we cooperate with. Everything from chillers and heaters, initial extraction, post-processing, everything you can think of, we try to be masters of over here at Lab Society. It's one of our goals. Initial extraction. So at this point, I'm basically going to run you guys through the process that we would typically go through with a client, and different options that we have within those. So the first step in, obviously you're going to have to farm your material, which Joy did an excellent job of going over all the different aspects of that. And once that material is grown and we actually have biomass, it then needs to be either milled or pelletized or ground or even sometimes extracted as is, so that we can get it into extraction equipment. So there's 3 different main extraction methods. You've got ethanol, or just alcohol extraction, CO2 extraction, and hydrocarbon extraction. Alcohol extraction is going to be probably the most widely used at this point because it's easy to extract more material. We sell an array of different extraction equipment around that. CO2 is great because there's no solvent involved. Well, I mean, CO2 is the solvent itself, but we use it as it's a much more green solvent if you want to look at the nature of solvents. There's no flammability risks, explosion risks, which are contrary to hydrocarbon and ethanol. Hydrocarbon extraction produces a very beautiful extract, difficult to scale up, but beautiful extracts. So really for those end consumer products, especially in the cannabis market in the US, hydrocarbon and CO2 are often chosen, whereas for hemp, typically people are going with alcohol extraction. New extraction methods that are more emerging are going to be hexane and heptane extraction, which is more adopted from large-scale industry process, such as oilseed manufacturing. So we're seeing more of that growing. But in all reality, these are the 3 main types of extraction methods that we see people going for. From there, we're going to want to remove the fats, which in our industry we call winterization. It's adopted from other industries, the term itself. But essentially, we freeze the solution to precipitate out the fats. The fats actually can become valuable as well. And a lot of people aren't thinking about that, but in all reality, in cosmetic products and an array of different other products, the fats can be extremely beneficial that come from the hemp and cannabis plant. So we do everything from small to large scale on these. There's definitely companies that are starting to investigate more automated processes behind this, and we try to stay up to date with those industry trends. From there, we've got filtration remediation. So essentially coming out of our winterization process, we're going to want to filter out those fats and also any other particulates that could be present from the extraction, from the field, anything. Again, small to large scale. The goal here is to purify that liquid, which is going to be a combination of our initial solvent and our cannabinoids from whatever physical materials, so that we can further refine down the line. Then we're going to go into solvent recovery. So solvent recovery is, something that is pretty much used all across the industry. Everything from small to large scale, from little rotary evaporators on the benchtop all the way up to large scale industrial falling film systems. We represent True Steel, Yellowstone, EcoDisc, Delta, pretty much everybody you can think of that sells solvent recovery equipment in our space. We've tried to partner with them just to, as long as of course they're a reputable company, to bring solutions to our customers. We're also working on our own line of solvent recovery devices. I would say these are definitely going to be quite useful coming into the future for a variety of purposes. Another technology that we're working with too is membrane filtration, which is a little bit more cost effective because instead of using heaters and chillers to evaporate and then recondense solvent, we can actually pass it through a membrane to separate it from the oil. So that's something else that we're working on as well with a couple different manufacturers. From there, we need to decarboxylate and or degas the material. So essentially, we're going to remove whatever residual solvent from the extraction process, from the winterization process that's remaining, and this could be as small as 1 to 5%, even less sometimes. we're also going to decarboxylate the material. So decarboxylation is the process in which we activate the cannabinoids. So the raw cannabinoids in the plant are in their acidic form, which essentially they aren't activated, so the body doesn't readily uptake them into our endocannabinoid system. The body still can utilize those cannabinoids. So for instance, THCA or CBDA still have positive impacts on the body. And in fact, they can be quite useful for an array of different purposes. However, they don't necessarily interact with the cannabinoid receptors. So they're different. Whereas when we decarboxylate them, basically by heating them up, we release the carbon dioxide molecule and it becomes our well-known THC and CBD. And then those compounds will then are uptakeable into the cannabinoid receptors in the body. So yeah, decarboxylation is important in the process of going to distillation and purification, because when we go to distillation, which is next, we want to have all of those gases out of our material as best as possible. So distillation is really where Lab Society has focused our product development and is where our core focus as a business is. So we obviously have our benchtop distillation kits, G3, G3X series that we released not this past year, but the year, or I guess it was this past year at Vegas. Very advantageous. We have GMP compliant SOPs, full certifications and peer review across the board on those. So those are really robust. They come with our Elite Lab automation software, which we actually are working on re-releasing with true automation with input-output functions so that the devices can communicate to each other within the software. So very powerful. And then from there, we go into medium scale, which we have our HVE systems, which are made in Signal Hill, California with one of our partners. Those systems are extremely cost effective and high quality, really great systems. And then we have our partner Incon Process Systems with our single, 2-stage, and 3-stage distillation systems. Those systems are much more industrial in the sense that they're more automated. They're large scale, up to 50 to 60 liters per hour. We can even go higher than that. Very, very fast systems. So no matter what scale you're at in your process, whether you're doing boutique cannabis extractions for the market or you're doing very large scale hemp distillations, we can hit any one of those scales for you. And we could even go bigger than 50 to 60 liters per hour if that's what you need. I can tell you that's quite fast, and watching it in front of you is quite the quite the sight. From there, we're going for CBD anyway, which is more on the hemp side. We're going to go into isolation, and this is where we actually isolate off the CBD from the rest of the cannabinoids and whatever else is in the extract. So this process yields CBD isolate, which is a white powdery substance, which then can be formulated into different things. Obviously, depending on in the US where we go with the FDA, they may or may not determine that isolate is generally recognized as safe. If it is, it can be used as a food product, but if not, it's going to be more on the pharmaceutical side. So we represent an array of different companies for this. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose is to get that CBD out so that it can be compliant. Because even if you're growing compliant hemp, and Joy touched on this a little while ago, a lot of times there's going to be, actually always, there will be some level of THC present in that hemp. So if it's, let's just say your hemp comes out at 0.2%. So it's compliant hemp, it's not hot, you can harvest it. So we harvest all that hemp, and now we're going into the extraction process. That first round of extraction, we're taking that 0.2%, we're actually making it larger because we're concentrating it. So now it goes up to 2 to maybe 4%. And now that material is now hot. So unfortunately, it needs to be remediated at some point. So typically we'll run it through all these steps. So we'll extract it, we'll winterize it, we'll filter it, we'll solvent recover it, and then we'll decarboxylate it and distill it. And then in this step, we actually will pull the CBD out, which can then be sold because there's no THC. All the THC is left behind, and it's actually in what we call the mother liquor, which is actually a chemistry term, which then would go into THC remediation. So we have several different processes for this. The one to the left, which is the CombiFlash, is a liquid chromatography method, which we can take that mother liquor and pass it through this chromatography unit to actually separate off the THC and leave all the other cannabinoids where they were. And then that product, which is broad spectrum, not full spectrum, broad spectrum, can be then mixed back with that CBD isolate to make that broad spectrum represented distillate that doesn't have any THC in it for customers to be sold. So obviously this is a very important step for hemp processors because, like I said, almost no matter what, you will have hot oil and hot distillate. And when I say hot, I mean it'll have THC in it as a result of the concentration. Another method that we recently started to represent is the TSEP process from Precision Extraction Solutions, which actually would be done prior to decarboxylation. That process can be scaled up quite quickly, and our partners over at Precision have really dialed in this method, so we like it a lot. And then we also have Delta 9. We have a remediation skid as well, which is another method for THC remediation. So we have 3 different technologies that we represent. And again, we're always trying to stay up to date with the latest trends so that we can bring that to you and make your life easier. The last thing that's really, I think, important when it comes to building a laboratory is analytical testing. So obviously, you can pay a lot of money for third-party testing and send all of your material out to get tested. Each one of those tests can cost anywhere from $60 to $250, depending on what panel of test you want for your material. So that can add up really quickly, especially when you're first starting up a facility and you're building up your and you're starting to build up your different processes and dial all of them in and make sure everything's efficient. You might be doing hundreds of tests. So that adds up quite quickly. So we made sure that we could offer Agilent Technologies testing equipment, everything from GC, which is a gas chromatograph, all the way through liquid chromatography, high HPLC, PCR, GCMS, everything that you could think of that Agilent sells, we try to provide to our clients. And this allows you to have in-house testing for QA/QC. For GMP facilities, you'll absolutely need some analytical on site. And whenever you're doing THC remediation, so for hemp facilities, we strongly recommend having testing equipment on site so that you can ensure that that end product is THC free prior to going into any marketing or sales or anything like that. So it really helps to have that in-house. And that the testing abilities would be everything from cannabinoid potency, residual solvents, terpenes, pesticides, heavy metals, microbials, and just general mass spec. So all of those things are very important when you're building a business in this space. Obviously, ancillary equipment, so all the other things that you need in your lab, you're going to need scales, you're going to need temperature controllers, you're going to need all sorts of different glassware, steel vessels. We try to carry as much as we can of all these things. There's countless products that are out there. LabSciety offers over 1,500 or 1,700 different products in this category. So we try to be as full-faceted as we can, and we're always adding to our inventory. So definitely here to help you outfit all the different aspects of your laboratory. Last thing, I think in terms, I don't know if this is the last thing, I guess there's a little bit more. The Elite Lab software that we offer. So we've developed a software platform that interacts with not only our benchtop systems, but also all of our thin film systems. And what this does is not only does it allow you to set alarms, data log, and control of all of your different devices, but actually allows you to automate them. So we have one-touch automation from creating different ramps that you can actually run your temperature controllers through. And we're actually about to release a new platform that builds on that automation that allows the controllers to talk to each other. So kind of if this, then that type stuff. You can make things follow each other. You can set off alarms. You can do all sorts of different things. And we're going to preload the software with different programs for users so that once they get into their lab, they can kind of see how we would do it, which will really help with that learning curve. So Elite Lab's extremely powerful. It's repeatable. It allows you to really create repeatability in your process so you can streamline your products and have the same thing every time. We're also just about to release a phone app so you can control the software from your phone. And then finally, of course, metrics. In any laboratory process, you want to be able to take a peek at what's happening. You want to see what a user did. Well, you can look back at a log and see exactly what moves they made when they made them. It really helps people in training. It also helps with, again, the repeatability. So Elite Lab's extremely powerful. It comes with all of our different pieces of hardware. It's a value add that we tried to release a few years ago. Education, I kind of touched on this earlier. We currently have over 500 graduates from our courses. We aren't currently recognized by any true university, but we are partnering with several universities currently to try to get some more accreditation to these courses. They're taught by multiple individuals that are either processing or chemical specialists. One is an analytical chemist, another teacher is myself, and we have several other industry teachers as well. Currently, we have Introduction to Extraction, Fractional Distillation, Cannabinoid Chemistry, Isolation and Formulation, Advanced Distillation, and Advanced Chemistry. So historically, we only offered courses 2 and 3, which are Fractional Distillation and Cannabinoid Chemistry. But we've basically expanded on those courses and created some more courses to kind of hit those different parts of the market that we've been missing and really try to get as much information out there as we can. Something that Lab Society has been focused on from day one is proper information, technical guidance, and education to the customer. Because if you're using your equipment correctly, you're not going to break it as often. Which, yes, that means I don't get to sell you as much equipment, but next time you're ready to upscale your equipment or whenever you're ready to buy more, you know who to call. And that's always been our mentality. We don't want to sell things that break. We want to sell things that make you money so that you can make more money with us. We're your partner long term. That's the goal. We always wanted to be a partner to the businesses that are in the space. And I also touched on this earlier as well. We do a lot of on-site consultations and training. So, you know, we'll even do on-site classes if you really needed it. And at the end of the day, we'll train on any type of equipment. It doesn't have to be our equipment. It could be any of our competitors' equipment. We're here to make sure that you understand what you're doing so that you don't break it, 1, and 2, that you're a successful business. And in light of COVID, we've definitely transitioned more to virtual consultations and training, which we do either screen shares or video shares. We're very flexible, and it's a little bit more cost effective since we're not sending someone to your facility. So it's a great option, especially for maybe you guys down in South America and Central America. I think it might be a good option to at least get things moving off the bat. So obviously, I can answer as many questions as are presented, but you know, feel free to contact us at labsociety.com. You can send us an email, give us a call. We have a contact form online, so you can fill in all of your project information, and we can intake you and then learn more about what you're trying to do, and have one of our sales experts hop on and you know, help you through your process and help you be a successful business.
Thank you so much, Michael, for your presentation. Por favor, recordemos que si queremos contactar a Lab Society para acceder a cualquier producto o a cualquiera de sus servicios, aquí tenemos la información. También pueden contactar al grupo de Muisca Capital Group. Tenemos teléfonos en Colombia, en Ecuador, en México. Entonces, podemos colaborarles a enviar cualquier tipo de equipo de extracción, cualquier servicio de consultoría de extracción. No duden en contactarnos. Acá también los podremos ayudar y los podemos direccionar a Lab Society Attendants. Muchísimas gracias. Continuamos.